And then later on in the evening, like we were there all night, and nobody could work out what was wrong with her or what was going on. So we were being moved into different areas, and we were just all night we were just making jokes and laughing at each other, just trying not to let like the horror of the situation get the better of us. And we were on this surgical ward about 3 in the morning, and because at one point they thought there might be something wrong with her bowel. So we were on this surgical ward, and everyone was asleep, and it was dark, and we were there just talking, joking. And at one point she said that she needed to go to the toilet. I said, fine. I helped her off the bed, and as her foot hit the floor, she went a colour I didn't know was possible for human beings to go, and her eyes rolled back in her head, and she started swallowing her tongue, and she collapsed on me, and it was terrifying. And I called out in the darkness for somebody to help me, and this voice came back, and it said, "There's an alarm on the wall." And it may as well have been on the moon. I mean, so I was there, and I didn't know what to do, and I was very scared. And then after a while, a doctor walked past, and I screamed at him to help me, and he got her off me, and he put her on the bed, and he hit the alarm, and then all of these other doctors came, and I was alone. And I was alone in a way that I don't think I've ever been in my life before. And I didn't know what was happening, and I didn't know where she was going, but I knew if she went there, she wouldn't come back, and I couldn't go with her. And I just prayed, and I prayed to a God I don't believe in, and certainly one I haven't referenced for a very long time. And I just prayed with everything that I had, just for one thing, just a really specific thing, just one more joke, just one more laugh. Because this is my job, and I love it, and I love going around making people laugh. It's a privilege to do it, but I fucking live to make her laugh. And I couldn't work out what life was going to be like if I couldn't do that again. So I prayed, and I prayed with just everything that I fucking had, everything in my soul. And after a while, like an eternity, they brought her back. And they finished doing what they were doing. And I could go to her, but I didn't know what I was going to say. So I'd prayed for this thing, and someone, somewhere had answered that prayer, and I didn't know what I was going to say. And I went to the side of the bed, and I held her hand, and before I could say anything, she looked me dead in the eye, and she said, "You can do one of those everyone should feel sorry for me comedy shows now." And then before I could say anything else, she went, "But don't, they're shit." So finally, at about 6 o'clock in the morning, somebody finally decided to do an examination of her cervix, and they discovered that we'd not had a miscarriage. We'd had an ectopic pregnancy, which had been missed, and it got quite far along, and it had ruptured, and she'd lost about 3 pints of blood into her abdomen, and that's what that was about. So they rushed her into surgery, and I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't sleep, couldn't be of any use. So I went home, and I wrote everything she'd said the night before down in a notebook. And then after a couple of hours, I got a call telling me she was going to be all right, and I could go and see her. So I went to see her, and I took the notebook, and I told her all the things she said the night before. And I got to say, guys, she cracked herself up. She really did. I mean, it's not considered cool to laugh at your own jokes, but she was really going for it. And she just had major surgery there, so she was holding surgery scars. We got herself laughing. It was really sweet. So then it turned out everything was going to be fine, and. But I had this show booked in. This show was booked in, and it was happening. And you have to come up with all your posters and your flyers and everything a long time before these festivals. So my poster and my flyer for Sunflower had a big banner on it, and it said 100% pure comedy, no sad stories. Well. Fate came along and made a bit of a dick of me there. So I didn't, what I wanted to do, what I thought I was going to do was sort of 55 minutes of Michael McIntyre-esque observations about what palaver it is trying to buy a car seat, but that isn't what happened. This is what happened. So I thought about it and thought, well, what to do? And I spoke to Sarah about it. I said, well, I've got I've got like 40 minutes of stuff I've already written, and what I could do is I'd do the 40 minutes, and then I'll basically, for what it's worth, I'll tell people the story of how I couldn't finish the show and why I couldn't finish the show, and how important laughter was to us to get through that. So I was like, right, that's what I'll go and do, and that's what the show will be. And Sarah said to me, she was like, you're not actually going to tell them what we were laughing about, were you? And I went, you know as well as I do, my impression of that Chinese doctor would end my career. She said, you're not going to tell them the Povo African bit, are you? I went, depends how it goes in previews, I suppose.